Good morning. Honorable members, due to the resignation of the Speaker of the National Assembly, there is now a vacancy in the office of the Speaker. Honorable members have been notified in terms of the National Assembly Rule 21(1)(a) of the vacancy. I will now proceed to the election of the Speaker as envisaged in terms of Section 52(1) of the Constitution. I have to announce that the Chief Justice has made available rules for the conduct of this meeting as contemplated by the Constitution in Schedule 3, Item 9. Copies thereof are on your desk in the main chamber, the gallery, and committee room E249. I also have to announce that I have appointed the following persons to be returning officers to assist me in the proceedings of this meeting. Number one, Ms. P.N. Yawa as the returning officer. She will be assisted by the following persons: by Mr. M. Paso, Mr. T.R. Malin, Advocate V.P. Ngalega, Ms. T.V. Lyons, Mr. T. Nake, Advocate A.A. Ephraim, Ms. R. Tinda, Mr. F.J. Passon, Ms. N.C. Manjezi, Advocate N. Mongo, Mr. P. Mandik, Mr. M.H. Plotkis, and finally, Mr. G. Matagane. They have taken the oath and affirmation for such office before me. The meeting will now proceed to the election of a Speaker of this House. Before I call for nominations, I have to remind members that in terms of the Constitution, each nomination must be submitted on a prescribed form and duly seconded. Furthermore, I have to draw the attention of the members specifically to item 4 of paragraph A of Schedule 3 to the Constitution, in terms of which there may be no debate. There will now be an opportunity for the nomination of a Speaker of the National Assembly. Are there any nominations, members? Where do we start? Speak, you take it. Raise the hand over there.
Thank you very much, Honorable Presiding Judge. My name is Pemi Castellina Pamela Majodina. I hereby nominate Honorable Nosiviwe Noluthando Mapisa Ngakula as candidate for Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. The Honorable Nosiviwe Noluthando Mapisa Ngakula has been nominated. Any seconder?
I, Lindiwe Daphne Zulu, umntana kaSiguqa Zulu, support the nomination of Nosiviwe Mapisa Ngakula, who has been nominated. Long live the spirit of the women of South Africa.
Thank you, Honorable Minister Zulu. Please present the nomination form to the returning officer. Are there any further nominations? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Judge Klope. I, Natasha, Wendy, Anita, Matsone, have the pleasure of nominating as Speaker of the National Assembly of the Republic of South Africa, Dr. Annelie Lotriet, MP. I thank you.
Any seconder?
Honorable Judge, I hereby second the nomination.
Right, thank you very much. Right. Doctor, the following. Dr. Annelie Lotriet, MP, has been properly nominated and seconded. Right. Right, honorable members, since more than one candidate has been nominated, a secret ballot will take place in terms of item 6 of Part A of Schedule 3 to the Constitution. Furthermore,
Honorable Judge, Honorable Chairperson,
yes. All right, thank you.
Honorable Judge,
Furthermore,
Honorable Judge, Chairperson,
furthermore,
Honorable Judge, Chairperson.
Dr. Mulder, yes.
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. We've taken note that the ANC and the DA has nominated, but I would ask that you call if there are any further nominations.
Thank you, Dr. Mulder. Are there any further nominations in addition to the 2? Any further nominations, honorable members, in addition to the 2? Clearly, there is no further nomination. Where is the hand? Oh, right at the back. Yes, the gentleman right at the back. Sorry, I can't.
I propose closure of nomination.
Closure of nominations. There are no further nominations. I've been assured there is a gentleman who is raising a hand. Mr. Singh. Yes, Mr. Singh.
Thank you very much, Honorable Judge President. No, I'm not going to nominate anybody. But I think it's important for the South African public to know, although we've had a discussion in the WIPRI and the programming committee, that this is a physical sitting and those who are on virtual will not have an opportunity to vote in this particular process. And I think that announcement needs to come from the chair, Judge President. Thank you.
So only people are here. Right. May I just, sorry. Oh, there is another hand up in the gallery. Can you get the sound, please?
Thank you very much, Justice Klope. I stand to second the proposal that nominations be closed. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I take it that there are no further nominations. May I just state the following? I've been assured by the returning officers that the nominations are in order, and I assume that the candidates who have now been nominated duly accept the nominations. May I also announce that only members who are present here will be able to vote at the end of the exercise. That is my understanding. Right. Since more than one candidate has been nominated, a secret ballot will take place now in terms of item 6 of Part A of Schedule 3 to the Constitution. I now suspend the proceedings to allow the returning officer to prepare ballot papers. The bells will be rung to alert members to the resumption of the proceedings. We will now adjourn.
Recording stopped.
I'll leave everything up.
Lo si buka, lo si buka, lo si buki. Kan je zitten thuis?
Hij zit in die kant, maar ik zie het niet.
The lead singer must put on his mask. Honorable Machogina, tell your singer there on top to put on his mask.
Okay, can I start? Okay. All right, viewers at home, you can see the commotion that is happening. That is in preparation of the ballot boxes, and you can see the acting secretary to parliament leaving as we had an interview with her. You can see as well Pamela Machadini or Pammy Machadini as the chief whip of the majority party. So as we look into the National Assembly, you can see that on your right-hand side, yes, as you see on the right-hand side, we can see the opposition and the chief whip of the majority party, Miss Manzoni. She nominated Dr. Anneli Lotridge. Okay. She nominated Dr. Anneli Lotridge as a nomination from the official opposition party, while the ruling party, the National African Congress, has nominated Miss Mapisa Ngakula as the nominee. So what you see now, you can see that they are bringing in the secret ballot boxes because we have 2 nominations, so they are getting ready for their votes. Remember that one of the leaders of the opposition party or members of parliament, Mr. Singh, requested that the viewers at home must be informed that the only members of Parliament of the National Assembly that are going to vote are those who are physically present in the National Assembly. So those who are following the proceedings from home using the virtual platform, unfortunately, the Constitution does not allow that they participate in the voting processes. But if you recall as well, the chief whip of the majority party, Mrs. Majodina, indicated that currently the rules of the National Assembly, even the Constitution, does not accommodate voting via virtual platforms. So viewers at home, what we have just noted, Sibulelo, it's that the 2 nominations have been received. So according to the Constitution, Schedule 3, it indicates that when in that event, then there must be a secret ballot. So they had just 2 boxes. I don't know where they disappeared to now, but I guess now the members are getting ready to cast their votes as to who they want. And also what we have saw for the viewers at home who have also recently joined, the chief whip from the majority party, Mrs. Majodina, indicated that the ANC has nominated the Miss Mapisa Ngagula.
Which is precisely what the chief whip indicated in your conversation with her this morning, that the African National Congress had already taken a decision, and I believe that decision was already communicated even prior. It was publicly communicated prior to even the interview that she did with Parliament TV with yourself this morning, that the person that they will be nominating will be Mayor Mapisa Ngakula. And of course, the opposition, the official opposition has decided to also throw in a name into the hat. And of course, we know when we're looking at the numbers, in terms of the bigger numbers, obviously the African National Congress has got bigger numbers. But of course, I think, in my view, it's just my perspective, it is just also about saying, about asserting their muscle, to say that they also just want to see what the outcome is going to be, and to test how other parties will vote in this instance.
And it also actually makes our democracy alive as well, and that people actually adhere to what it says, that you have a right to vote, irrespective whether you are the ruling party or you are the opposition party. So I think the opposition party as well, that is what it seeks to exercise, even though that the numbers are not enough, but we still exercise our right to nominate the person or the candidate that we assume may be fit to take the position of the speaker. Interesting enough, what happened as well, Judge Klope noted a gentleman that was sitting in the gallery. Yeah, and it has never been done. It has never been done in Parliament that a member of the public sitting in the public gallery gets to have an opinion on what is transpiring inside the chamber. Because the gentleman actually supported that, they must close the nominations.
Indeed, indeed. When we're also just reflecting on how the South African democracy has been maturing over the last 26 or 27 years since the advent of our democracy, the issue of floor crossing came up at some point where we know members of specific parties were able to cross the floor. And obviously we know that there's a lot of other smaller parties that emerged out of that process. But also in other parts of the world, floor crossing is also understood, is applied in a manner where members of a particular party, if they don't believe in the particular viewpoint or the party political position, they would then walk over and go and support another party. So indeed, when we're looking at what the DA is throwing in, the fact that the DA is throwing in a name into the hat, it also begins to speak to, we know that there's a lot of engagement that takes place, not only on the level of the Chief Whips Forum. We know that parties obviously have to engage in relation to mandates, in relation to how even legislation is being formulated and so forth. So when we're talking about about maturing this multi-party democracy and also making sure that parties assert themselves and that they assert the decisions of their constituency. Clearly, it would seem that the DA has decided to put forth a name, obviously as a decision of that of that party, but also representing a specific constituency that is hoping to have their person being elected into this position. And we know, as we look at, for example, the issue, the fact that the president is allowed to actually bring in a member who's not a member of the African National Congress into his cabinet. And obviously, it is clear that we also know that Honorable John Steenhuisen had indicated his desire for a particular portfolio when the president was about, to do his reshuffle. So I suppose what we can say about this is the fact that, it is about the DA saying they're throwing in the names into the hat. It's just about testing this to see, is there an appetite, because we know that we've got the member of good, Mayor Patricia de Lille, who is the Minister for Public Works and Infrastructure. So indeed, we can see the DA trying, just testing the waters and to see whether there is an appetite from not only from the African National Congress, but also from other political parties that are represented in Parliament.
As you can see, viewers at home, the stage is getting ready for the secret ballot by the members of Parliament. But see, Mulelo, you mentioned something very interesting about the floor crossing. And I think that process, it did not work with us because remember, the members of Parliament are elected by the public. The fact that they are in the National Assembly, they have been elected, even though it may not be physically, but their nomination is influenced by the public. So the issue of floor crossing became more of a problem to say you cannot decide that now you are joining a particular party because you did not appoint yourself or you did not elect yourself to be in the National Assembly. That is why the National Assembly had to do away with that process, because it kind of now devalued the values of the public of South Africa. But otherwise, viewers at home, we do have an insert that will just remind us of the election process that is unfolding in the National Assembly right now.
Following up on our commitments to the people, making your future work better.
The process of electing the Speaker of the National Assembly. The Speaker of the National Assembly is elected according to Section 52 of the Constitution. In terms of the section, the National Assembly must elect a Speaker from among its members at the first sitting of the new administrative term, or when it becomes vacant during the term. The Chief Justice must preside over the election of the Speaker or designate another judge to do so. Once the sitting is convened in consultation with the Office of the Chief Justice, the election procedure that the House must follow is prescribed in Schedule 3 of the Constitution. The House must submit nominations using the nomination form as prescribed by the rules. The nomination form must be signed by 2 members of the National Assembly. The persons who are nominated must indicate acceptance of the nomination by signing the nomination form or any other form of written confirmation. At the sitting, the judge presiding must announce the names of the persons who have been nominated as candidates for the position of the Speaker, but may not permit any debate. If only one candidate is nominated, the judge presiding must declare that candidate elected. If more than one candidate is nominated, a vote must be taken by a secret ballot. Each member present may cast 1 vote, and the presiding judge must declare the candidate who receives the majority of the votes elected. If no candidate receives the majority of the votes,
The candidate who receives the lowest number of votes must be eliminated, and a further vote taken on the remaining candidates in accordance to Schedule 3, Item 7 of the Constitution. This procedure must be repeated until a candidate receives a majority of the votes. If two or more candidates each have the lowest number of votes, a separate vote must be taken on those candidates and repeated as many times as necessary to determine which candidate is to be eliminated. If only two candidates are nominated, or if only two candidates remain after an elimination procedure has been applied and those two candidates receive the same number of votes, a further meeting must be held within 7 days at a time determined by the judge presiding. The election procedure prescribed in Schedule 3 must be applied at that meeting as if it were the first meeting for the election in question. Parliament, following up on our commitments to the people, making your future work better.
Following up on our commitments to the people, making your future work better.
Viewers, we are still continuing with our conversation as we observe preparations underway to ensure that members are able to cast their vote for the candidate of their choice. As we know, Dr. Annelie Lottridge from the DA has been nominated by the DA. Mema Pisa Ngakula has also been nominated by the African National Congress. As you can see in the chamber at the moment, you can see that the ballot boxes have been brought into the chamber in order to prepare this process, and members are still seated as they wait for this process to be concluded so that they can begin to, in groups of 10, I've been advised, they will be casting their votes, also observing the regulations, the COVID-19 regulations. So also, it's also important for us to just also emphasize the importance of the role of the speaker and what that represents within the broader transformation spectrum of the country and what it represents within the current, not only the dispensation, but also in relation to what the country is going through, what the global community is going through. We are, of course, still mitigating the far-reaching impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. And we know that the president has, of course, undertaken this reshuffle to basically, obviously, through the structures of the African National Congress to ensure that the appropriate people or people with the requisite skills based on what the party believes, they can derive maximum impact and maximum in terms of just like ensuring that the current mandate that is before the country or the president, indeed, that there's transformation in relation to the state of the economy, number one. Secondly, we know that there's very, very high levels of unemployment. We also know that the economy is shrinking. We also know that this is quite a critical time, and it's the first reshuffle that has been done by the president. So it also indicates that he is in that space where he's trying to ensure that he pulls the very best out of the African National Congress, out of the cabinet, and out of parliament as well, to ensure that he has the best team in place to advance the implementation of the agenda that is before the country and particularly before the president as well.
Thank you, Sibulelo, and viewers at home. Definitely, you must be wondering. We know that members of the National Assembly are 400 in total, but what do we have currently? Because of the COVID-19, they had to adhere to the COVID-19 protocols. Hence, you see that in the National Assembly, we currently have 167 members of parliament who are seated. And then in the public gallery, there are about 127 members. So the member of parliament that we referred to earlier on as a gentleman sitting in the public gallery is actually a member of parliament. He's not an ordinary member of the public, but he is an elected member of the National Assembly. So his point of saying that let us close the nominations